Greetings and welcome to my show. Today is Saturday, April 26th, 2025, and it is 9:30 p.m. Today I am revisiting a song that I made in the year 2000 called Terra Eyes. Back then I made this song using tracker software. Now I have recreated it on the Digitakt 2 drum computer and stereo sampler. Why? Because why not? I had forgotten my thought process behind making the song. Recreating it made me realize how it actually came together. Let's start off by hearing how Terra Eyes sounds on the Digitakt 2.
You're not a nanny bot, are you?
And that was Terra Eyes on the Digitakt 2. I just wanted to mention my new gear acquisition. A bunch of lights. Got some purple lights in the back there. Some lights underneath the synths. And a light up there. It's just a few words. A few words on the song. Yeah, a few words on the song before I get into, I guess, talking about how I recreated it on the Digitakt 2. Have you ever made a song where you sampled your own movie? I have, and it was this song, Terra Eyes. So I should explain. Okay, so here is this. Okay, here's this. A VHS of an animation that I made. You know, okay, let me get this camera going. I strapped the light under here too. Okay, hope that's not too bright. Let's turn it on. So this is, oh, of course there's a glare. Okay, I'll turn this light off. Just do this again. Okay, so this is an animation that I made in college, okay? This was college. So I went to college for film and TV production. And this animation looks like I made it in 1999. I think this was my second year independent project, I believe. So for my second year independent project, I made an animation called Hellilium, Dead Can't Dance. Here's the VHS, the cover, here's the spine, Hellilium, Dead Can't Dance, animation, Spooks Production, VHS, Hi-Fi. Do I need to read all this? Sci-Fi animation, rated PG, available in VHS, SV, VHS, Betacam. Do it. Okay, I'll just read. Okay, so Rot is a melancholic mechanoid who short fuses from his unwanted solitude and massacres an entire cyberpunk nightclub. It is up to Urch, an escaped secret military laboratory experiment who is being chased by Fright, the once #1 ranks bounty hunter in the known universe, to help Rot overcome his depression. Dead Can't Dance is the animated debut of the sci-fi comic series Hellilium by me. All right, okay, so that's Hellilium, okay. Oh, wait, no. I did this out of order. Okay, so I need to explain this film of the book. Okay, so film of the book, demo CD. So I've been rebuilding the songs from this. Put this there. So it's like the worst presentation. Let me get this out of the shot because I did this out of order. If you've been following my ROKnROL Diary series, I've been recreating my old tracker songs on the Digitakt 2. This is my demo CD film of the book from the year 2001. And here's the track listing. So I had previously done Reindeer Home version and Vinegar Tom. So now it's Terra Eyes. So these are the songs that I made circa 2000. Back then I was using tracker software to make my music, in particular ModPlug Tracker. And I got this Digitakt 2 last, I forget, May or June, one of those months. I thought it would be useful for me because, you know, it's a drum machine and a stereo sampler, and all of my old tracker songs were made using samples. Okay, so that's the idea here. Okay, so Terra Eyes is the third song that I've recreated from my film of the book demo CD. If you're familiar with my music as Never for Eve, you will know that it's vocal oriented. Yeah, so my singing, but with these old tracker songs, you'll notice they don't really feature my vocals. Except maybe the reindeer home version one, but that was like the exception. So what I'm trying to say is my music back then was mostly instrumentals because I was using tracker software to make music, and it's just hard to manage long samples, and also I didn't really have an easy way to record my vocals. So what I ended up doing was just using samples. Yeah, using samples. So in the case of Terra Eyes, man, the title, Terra Eyes, where did I get that from? So Terra Eyes comes from an animation that I made in college called Hellilium. Put that here. In the animation, there is a surveillance camera. The surveillance camera is called Terra Eyes. It's just a play on the word terrorize, like Big Brother. It's like watching you, watching what you're doing. Yeah, so that's the title. Opening this up. Got some flyers in here. Go Away, Spooks Productions. That's my studio name. Okay, Spooks Productions. This is a selfie. I drew myself. This was me. Okay, I just drew myself. I looked in the mirror and I drew myself. Go away. Okay, and then this. I can't dance. That's Urch, one of the characters, and then some flyers. Dead Can't Dance. April 24th, 1999. That's the release day. Fun facts. I didn't know how to draw when I made this animation. I still don't know how to draw. Okay. A crappy artist. Yeah. I did not know how to draw. I had no idea how to make an animation. But yet, I managed to make an animation. I kind of want to dedicate a future vlog towards this animation, so I won't talk about it too much. So in a previous vlog, the one about my first ever electronic show that I did in 1998. So in that one, I did briefly mention Hellilium and how two of the people involved in that show. So I mentioned Mary and Brian. They were my classmates in college, and they actually did the voices for Hellilium. Okay, so Mary was Urge, that little girl, and then Brian was was Rots, the robot, or the melancholic mandroid. In the song Terra Eyes, those vocal samples are those guys. This film of the book CD, I made a few copies and gave it out to like maybe 3 people. One of those 3 people was Brian. Because I'm still in contact with Brian after all these years, I asked him if he remembers the song Terra Eyes and if he could give me some like a review. Yeah, a review of the song for this vlog. What was it that he said? He said something along the lines of how he didn't like his voice in the animation. That's about it. But I remember Mary, she did not get a copy of the CD, but I sent her an email with maybe an MP3. And I remember her saying that she had showed the song to all her family and some friends, and they all liked it. Musical process and influences. So in the intro, at the beginning, I was talking about how I had forgotten my thought process behind making this song until I started recreating the song. And I discovered that I had Frankenstein this song. Okay, so what that means is I had stitched together different ideas I was playing with at that time. I'll talk about this more later. Some other musical influences was clubbing. Yeah, clubbing. Because I was young and fit back then, and I went out clubbing a lot because I like to dance. So club music, classical music, and then also movie soundtracks. In particular, animation soundtracks. Okay, so the vocal samples were from my animation. And there's a chord progression in the song that's taken from the anime movie Macross Plus. Macross Plus. There's a song in there called Information High. Okay, so if you go and listen to that song, you will know right away which chord progression I am talking about. And that chord progression that I lifted always bugged me. So when I made a shorter version of the song Terra Eyes for my debut EP, Go Go Go, I cut it out. And then I buried the original version, so the Terra Eyes version that you just heard. I buried that out of guilt. Now, I'm going to talk about the recreation process. So the workflow started in ModPlug Tracker in the year 2000. Rebuilt it in Ableton Live to clean it up, and then moved it into Digitakt 2 for further cleanup. Am I just going to read my notes? How boring. How boring. Okay, challenges and quirks. Okay, so talking about... Okay, here's the thing. I want to show my computer, but the last time I did that, I had it on a monitor, and there was like some flickering going on. So I don't want to repeat that process here. And also, I know I can screen record on my computer, but I have this old school mentality where I keep thinking I don't have a lot of hard drives disk space. And that's why I don't want to screen record. Yeah, so I'll use my pocket camera. You know what? Nah, I don't want to use my pocket. No, should I? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll use it. Okay, so challenges and quirks. So starting off with the original tracker song. Here is Terra Eyes .it. .it stands for Impulse Tracker. And I've opened it up using Schism Tracker on my MacBook. But I had originally made this song using ModPlug Tracker in the year 2000 on a PC computer running Windows, what was it at that time? XP Pro? So I did not know for the longest time that you could use effect plugins. And then I finally clued in and started using like reverb. So what I'm trying to say is this song, Terra Eyes, has some third-party plugins, specifically reverb. I did not want to recreate the reverb on the vocal samples because I knew that it was going to be like a pain in the ass. I'm going to say that, pain in the ass. Okay, so what I ended up doing was I looked around on all of my hard drives, and I have a lot of hard drives, which I've collected over decades, looking for this reverb plugin, this missing reverb plugin. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then I remembered I have an old PC tower that has been underneath this desk here, this workstation desk here, since I don't know when. So I thought to boot that up and just check it out, see what's on there. Lo and behold, ModPlug Tracker was not even installed on that computer. And that blew my mind because I frequently refer back to my old tracker songs when I'm working on new songs. I couldn't understand why it wasn't on there because that was going to be like my last resort. I was going to find Terra Eyes on that old computer and then export the vocal track with the printed reverb and be done with it. No such thing. What did I end up doing? I ended up Googling, trying to find this reverb plugin. And it took so many attempts, and I just about gave up. But then there was like this one website that kept coming up, but it looked so shady. It's like I wasn't sure if this plugin was what it was claiming it to be. So for the longest time, I just avoided it. But then it's like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to download it and see what happens. So thankfully, it was actually the correct reverb plugin from some, those shady websites you go to. That's where I found it. And thankfully, it loaded perfectly. What I ended up doing was I used my old MacBook that had virtual windows on it running ModPlug Tracker. I used that with that reverb plugin and exported a WAV file of the isolated vocal track. And then I chopped that up in Ableton Live and then loaded it up in the Digitakt too. Right? So that long rant, so I used vocal sample stems to avoid the pain of sequencing all those vocal sample chops. I guess I'll play it here. Here's Terra Eyes. Okay. So before I do this, I discovered if I press Shift F9, it comes up with this message editor. Look at this. Terra Eyes, November 2nd, 2000. That's the concept date of this song. And then just some mixing notes. And then you got a bunch of lyrics. These are the lyrics for the version of Terra Eyes on the Navel for Eve debut EP, Go, Go, Go. It's me working out the lyrics. I had no idea. I was brewing the vocal melody for this song while I was making this version of Terra Eyes. I had no idea. That's interesting. Some of these lyrics are pretty embarrassing. Okay, so don't look at it. So the animation samples, Nannybot.
You're not a nanny bot, are you?
So you're not a Nannybot, are you? That's the little girl. Urge.
Cheer up. Just wondering, because there are always stories in the news about kids reprogramming their nanny bots to kill their parents.
I am not a nanny bot.
Sound effect.
How irritating.
So.
Okay, so those are all the samples from the animation that I used in this song. This Schism tracker, it doesn't have the reverb. Okay, so all the vocal samples sound so dry. I'm trying to show, I guess, this part. So that I forgot that is not the little girl. It's the murderous melancholic mandroid. So the guy. So he's the one who's featured in this song. There is, I'm trying to see a pattern where I kind of reveal that voice is the mandroid.
Are you?
This one, 56. This is
Nanny bot. Are you? Nanny bot.
also that part where it's like, ugh. That was to reveal that that voice is the guy, not the girl. Is it record? This thing had better be recording. I stop that. Okay, some more challenges and quirks. Reduced from 24 to 16 channels for the Digitakt 2. Yeah, because the Digitakt 2 has a maximum of 16 tracks. And there are 24 samples in the song and 53 patterns. Oh, lack of polyphony. Okay, so Digitakt 2 lacks polyphony. So I had to simplify a bunch of tracks. Like there's like this saw bass and a Juno pad. I'll show examples. I should actually show you Ableton Live. So many channels. So I had to simplify the saw bass and Juno pads. I think each one had like 2 tracks. I will solo the saw bass 1, saw bass 2. So I had to merge those 2 tracks into one on the Digitakt 2. And then on the Digitakt, also had to do that with the Juno pad, because there were 2, these 2. Example. Pattern 16. Okay, again, I had to combine those 2 tracks onto one on the Digitakt 2. So that's just working with Digitakt 2's limitation. And you know what? I actually prefer the simplified versions. Continuing with the lack of polyphony on the Digitakt 2. So the pads, okay, so that affected the pads. Monophonic pads sound like garbage. I'll let you hear. So the song starts off with the glow. I call it the glow pad. Here we are. This is what it sounds like. Then on the Digitakt, what I decided to do was split that pad over 2 tracks, and it still sounds like garbage. There are a bunch of pads in this song that suffered because of that. So we had the glow box, this pad. Okay, maybe just those 2. No, there's a moon box too. So that was a limitation I was not happy with. Oh, okay, yeah, should explain. So I have cleared the sound of this glow pad to demonstrate what it originally sounded like. Here's the pattern. Can you hear how the notes get cut off and there's like a clicking in between the notes? That's because the Digitakt 2 is monophonic. It can only play one note at a time. Compare that with the original, which is polyphonic. See how lush that sounds? And then Digitakt, garbage. Yes. Okay, so what I had to do to make that sound better was a couple of things. First of all, I fussed with the loop point so that when it reaches the end, it wouldn't just end. Because it's a pad. Some of these notes are really long and I needed to sustain. So I had to play around with this loop point. Oh, I should make it actually loop. Forward loop. And then, you have to find a loop point where it doesn't click. I could be here all day trying to find this. I think it's called a zero crossing. Oh, that's kind of okay. Anyways, okay, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is I need to adjust the release and the attack. Okay, so here's what it sounds like. Sounds bad. If you go into, I think it's amp. Yeah, amp and attack, hold, decay, but I want the ADSR. How do I get to the ADSR? Stop this. I can't remember. Mode? Is it mode? It might be mode. Yeah, okay, mode ADSR. And if I shorten the release, it sounds better. See, we got rid of that clicking, so that worked. Sometimes I have to adjust the attack and increase it. So that kind of acts as a kind of like a crossfade between the notes so that there's no clicking. Okay, so that's what I had to do. And then, add reverb. Delay. Chorus. And I think that's it for the challenges and quirks, or the AKA the PITAs, the pains in the ass.